The
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. This is a kind of a cold Saturday morning out here, but we will endure. We have two special guests on today. We have Kennedi Lucas, Sergeant Kennedi Lucas, recently promoted to Sergeant Kennedi Lucas. Congratulations on your promotion. And Specialist Hailey Brown, who is somebody I work with. And this is how this show happened. So thank you, ladies, for coming on the show. So we're going to talk about today what being a woman or female in the United States military. Why don't we get some backstory first? So Kennedy, why don't we start with you since you're the guest? Why did you join the military in the first place? How did that go?
I was a junior in high school, so I was 17, and I basically was just trying to think about my future, and I realized that I would not be able to afford the career that I wanted because I would not be able to afford college.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't I just join the military? And then right when I thought that, I had a recruiter text me, and I was like, well, I guess this is a sign. So I met with the recruiter the next day. I talked to my mom, and then the day after the meeting with the recruiter, I signed the papers and I joined the military.
Okay, very good. Do you mind if I ask what profession you're striving for?
I'm majoring in psychology, so I want to get my bachelor's, which I'm going to get this year, and then my master's in clinical psych, and then I would like to be a therapist and work in corrections as a psychologist.
Correct. See, okay, cool. Very cool. All right. Hailey, how about you?
well, I wanted to go to college. I started going to college and I couldn't keep up with the payment for it, even with splitting it with my dad. So that's one reason is so I could that they could cover my college for me, but I also kind of felt like I didn't have I kind of like lost a sense of purpose in life. Like I kind of felt lost.
Sure.
And then my friend had joined the Army and she told me all about it, so she got me hooked up with a recruiter, and I've loved it since I've joined. So
You're are you having a good time, Kennedy? Is it a positive experience overall?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I've gotten a lot of opportunities, and it's very fun.
That's great. No, that's cool. Yeah, no, I ended up in a recruiter's office a handful of times in my younger days because of that same reason, Haley, because I had no direction at those moments. I didn't know what to do with my life, and as anti-authoritarian as I am, I'm glad I didn't join because that wouldn't have gone well. But that's me. I'm not saying that should be the case for everybody. So well, that's very cool. Okay, so Kenny, we'll start with you again. Like, tell us kind of generally, at least, like how is it? Do you find any resistance, pushback, any difficulties, obstacles being a female in the Army?
Um,
You know,
honestly, I think. Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
what?
I was gonna say you don't
Okay.
have to name names, but go ahead.
I think overall, it's very equal in terms of how you're treated, but there are some instances where it's um in terms of physical activities, like doing stuff like lifting things and stuff. I'll occasionally get some people that say oh, do you need help with that because you're a woman kind of thing, but I try to stay strong so I don't need help like that.
That's
But
cool.
that's the main thing that um I would say is a struggle for me as a woman in the military.
Just the difference maybe in physical expectations, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you all train together? Like when you're like in either in basic training or otherwise? Like, do you all train together? Men and women train together, or are they separate?
Yes, everything is together. You're not a person. You are a soldier when you train.
Oh, good.
So everyone is the same and you're treated the same.
Okay, Haley. Okay, so Haley, what about you? Have you encountered any weirdness?
no, not really. Everyone just expects, no matter your gender, your race, or anything, to once you're given a job, you should be able to do it. maybe we're just lucky enough that we haven't come across someone who looks down on women like that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there are people like that in the Army somewhere, but
Sure.
same with her. I've only really ever had, like, people ask if I need help with something, or there's been a couple times where they specifically ask for, like, "Oh, I need, like, 3 strong men, come help me carry this." But it's mainly, like, more physically demanding things that I've really only seen the difference between the men and women in the Army.
Now, would you say that that's a legitimate difference? Do you think that like some of these guys are just stronger than most of the females? I mean, that's part of some of the debate sometimes is that very generally speaking, evolution has just made men stronger. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know if that's true or not. I know I've met some women in my life that would kick my ass. So, I mean, what do you see that or do you not see that in your experience?
I mean, yeah, I do see, like, men are typically more biologically stronger than
Right.
women, and it's easier for men to get stronger and build muscle than
Right.
it is for women, but most of the time that any, like, physically demanding things that I've come across, typically women can do it, we'll just have to put more effort in than
Oh,
a
okay,
man, but
interesting.
typically we can both do it, it's just we'll have
Do
to
the
put in
same
more
things.
effort.
Yeah, that's great. Is
Yeah.
that your experience, Kennedy?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I would, yeah, I think that we would have to put more effort into it than like if another person were to be able to do it, or like we kind of do like teamwork things where if like we know we can do it, we can get it done. We just
Right.
kind of like help each other out. But like
Well, that's cool.
there's definitely situations where it would be easier if it was just like somebody that was stronger. But there are definitely women that are stronger than me and Brown in the Army, 100%.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. Well, okay, cool. And but like personally, what do you think of the actual physical training that you go through, like in basic training? Is it, and this isn't like an issue whether or not you're a biological female or male. Like, did you personally? Is it tough? Is it tough going through basic training, or is it? Yeah, you're both
Yeah.
like yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all
Yeah, it
right, all right.
is. Even if you go in like and you're like super physically fit, it still is a challenge just mentally to continue to push like yourself physically. So like even if it's like a simple task like walking with like 10 pounds on your back or like running, like it's just so constant that it makes it really hard to like continue physically.
Right. Haley, is that your experience?
Yeah, honestly, because when I went in, I wasn't very physically fit, so I was really worried about that, but I was able to make it through it. My drill sergeants definitely made sure I got stronger. Um,
Drill sergeants, I tell you.
that's for sure. I don't know. I think the
What
hardest ones for me was,
uh,
like, the rucks.
the
Just having
rucks?
to keep the ruck. You have to ruck, 10 miles is the
I don't
longest
know.
one.
Is that an acronym?
You have to walk 10 miles, carrying, like,
Whoa.
50-pound
Oh
backpack,
God.
full gear,
See,
and
that's all.
your weapon.
And your
It's
weapon.
tiring, it hurts, you just have to keep going.
Are those big black boots? Are they comfortable?
Not the basic training ones.
Not the basic training ones.
No,
Okay.
No.
no.
No,
It's like it's just like
those ones, they,
a
like,
flat
tear up
rubber.
their
Yeah.
they, like,
Like,
tear up your feet. I had blisters every time I wore those, so once you leave basic, like, you buy new boots, so 'cause those ones suck.
you burn those. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. No. Basic training looks pretty tough. Pretty intense stuff. Well, like with the drill sergeants, like Haley, you and I were talking about this the other day. How they'll just like right up to your face, like just scream at you. And I think I would just start laughing and I would get kicked out or something because I would just think it's so ridiculous that one human being would like talk to another human being like that in order to get a point
Mhm.
across. Like, just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. You don't have to scream at me because this is ridiculous. I almost got in trouble with a cop once because he was being so like just like authoritarian. I started laughing and he's like, "Is this funny?" I'm like, "No, no, no." And so, like, what's your response to that? Again, just as an individual person, like, this drill sergeant's sitting here screaming in your face. And Hailey, you were saying you always have to respond, yes, drill sergeant, or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that intense? Is it? I mean, do you find it like in the moment? Are you just kind of like, this is ridiculous?
No, I never
No.
thought it was ridiculous. I kind of thought it was necessary to kind of
Oh,
like force you to like, I don't know. They kind of wanted to scare us, and
right.
uh, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm like, I never thought it was funny, really. Some people did, and if they started laughing, then we would all have to get down and do push-ups. But like, I never thought it was really scary because I knew that was just their job and they had to do that.
Okay, that's
It was
cool.
only scary when like I messed up, and then they got in my face and started yelling at me. Those are the only times where like I was scared because I knew I fucked up, so I knew I was in trouble, and
I got you. Kennedy, how about you? What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I would say the same. It was I feel like it was necessary. I feel like it's more of like a respect thing to not laugh because it's like that's just what you have to do. Like that's just how it's been for like years and years and years, and like
Yeah.
everyone has to like go through this, and so it's like it's not like they're being mean because they are people. That's just their job. So it's like I'm just like respecting you doing your job, and you're helping me like become a better soldier, kind of thing. So
Do you
I was
interact with? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was scared a lot of the time because they're so loud.
They're pretty loud. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming there are female drill sergeants as well.
Yeah, they were the scarier ones.
So, like, what about that? Like, what about that sort of like that behavior or like demeanor, like that outward like look? Is Are female drill sergeants in that role when they're screaming at you taken as seriously as a male one? In your estimation?
I think so. For me, it was the case. I know all of my like people in my company that were with me when I was training. We all respected our drill sergeants, but there are some drill sergeants that just they're like I guess whether they're female or male, they'll sometimes do this thing where they'll be super nice and then they'll be super mean. And those people, those drill sergeants aren't really that respected because it's like, okay, well, you were just nice to me, like you're just being ridiculous kind of thing. But then the drill sergeants that really stuck to the role and like played the part, they were like more respected across the whole training.
So, like, outside of like the actual direct training from the drill sergeant, like just around the barracks or whatever, they're just as much as kind of daunting and scary as they were when they're screaming in your face, and whereas some others are not. Like they're you
Yeah.
could tell they're playing a role. Like they're in your face screaming, they're like, "Oh, this is great. How are you? Nice to see you." Like right. Like they're sweet. And so it's like hard to take them seriously when they're screaming at you. Like that. Is that a good description?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your experience, Hailey?
pretty much. There was one drill sergeant though. It was a female, and she was rather short. She was like my height. I'm like
Oh yeah,
5'3",
yeah. You are short.
and sometimes people wouldn't take her seriously. Maybe not always straight to her. They wouldn't say it straight to her face, but like when they're not around, they wouldn't really take her seriously sometimes because she's so little. They would call her a chihuahua behind her back. But I would say that was like the only time where I've kind of seen the that happen.
Right.
So
And Kennedy, now that you've been promoted to sergeant, again, congratulations. Do you have the opportunity? Is drill sergeant a different rank, or is it just like a different duty for any given sergeant?
Drill sergeant is like just like a class that you can take, basically like a school. Like you can go to different schools. So I went to like BLC, which is basically a leadership course, which is that's like what you needed to be a sergeant. You don't need that anymore, but you needed it. And drill sergeant is just one of those things. So you can go. We're National Guard, but if you go AGR, which is Active Guard Reserves, you can become a drill sergeant for like 2 years, and that's like the max you can do it. So you'd go to drill sergeant school, and then you'd become a drill sergeant for those 2 years that you could do it, and then you'd be done. And then you could either be done AGR and go back to like National Guard Reserves, whatever you are, or you can like continue being like a teacher or like a trainer. So like BLC has sergeants that train you, and a lot of them came from being like drill sergeants. And then there's ALC, SLC, which is advanced leadership, and then senior leadership course. They all have teachers that are sergeants that are AGR, and it's just kind of like a position that you can apply for, basically.
Okay, that's right. Do you have any ambitions there or no?
No, I don't.
No,
I don't think I could make it being a drill sergeant.
you don't want to scream at people for no reason. Okay, well that's good. Very cool. All right. Well, so back to like the core of the topic here. What obviously there's been reports and actual occurrences of like sexual harassment and even worse in the military by male soldiers to female ones. Not that either of you have experienced that directly, but is that a thing? Have you heard of these things happening, at least? Yes.
I think for me, at least, when I haven't heard any of it actually from like my unit specifically. But when I was in training, there was a lot of like allegations and stuff like that because people were still like transferring over from like being a civilian to being a soldier, and like you definitely learn respect and stuff like that through basic training and like for other people and your like leadership. But during training there was like people that just weren't fit for the role that kind of like did some stuff, and they got kicked out, so they're not in the army. But yeah, but it for me it mainly happened like in basic training and stuff like that, where people are still transferring over to like soldier life.
Interesting. That's a really interesting point. So, like, there's like kind of like because basic training is in large part to recondition you to become a soldier, like from a mere civilian whose authority is your own to a soldier who has like all sorts of different hierarchies and so on that they have to pay attention to. And that they just your kind of like natural dispositions to like maybe as a guy or a girl, whatever, being flirty or something like that on public, like even in a way that nobody would find offensive. Like you all of a sudden you're in a context where you can't do that anymore. Okay, right? And so so there's a difficult thing for some guy who's normally like kind of, again, flirty with the ladies out in public, whatever, has to stop doing that, but it takes him a little while to realize that he has to stop doing that. And he doesn't mean anything bad by it. He's just sort of a natural flirt or whatever it may be. That kind of like, is that a decent description of what you're talking about?
I think some people definitely could be like that, but we also get like the classes on like SHARP, which is like sexual harassment and assault.
Okay.
And we get that, like, that's like one of the first couple things that we get. And so you go in knowing that you can't do these certain things. And so after that, if you decide to do it, that's on you and not like your personality. Because regardless of if it's your personality or not, like, we're taught that, like, right in the beginning that you're not supposed to do this. So I think definitely some people could, some people may not have paid attention. It was a PowerPoint, it's like slideshow for us, but like, I think that majority of the people were just trying to be like bad people.
Oh, really? Okay, gotcha. Understood. It's not like just again being
actively trying to be a bad person.
Yeah, that's different than just being a natural flirt, if you will, and trying to like break your habits there. But Hailey, would you agree with that? Is that your experience?
I've never been like connected with anything or been like in the know with it, but I have heard of like 2 cases with sexual harassment. I don't really know too many details about it, but I do know it was a male harassing a female in both instances.
Well, of course.
But I don't really know too many details about anything.
But you've heard of it happening, so
yeah,
okay.
and especially, and I'm surprised that it still keeps happening. Like, when you get in, like, you first get in, before you even, like, go to basic training, they show you that PowerPoint. Um, they show it we have to do it every single year, at least once a year, and honestly, I was surprised at, like, the statistics before I even, like, went to basic training and all that and how often it
Yeah.
actually happens. Like, it happens so often that they make you have a buddy with you. You have to do the buddy system, like, everywhere you go when we
Really?
were in yeah. Like, that was one of the reasons why you have a buddy at all times. It has to be another female. Wherever you go, you don't go alone.
Wow. That's okay. That's interesting. They're taking it pretty seriously then. The military. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, they probably got sued so many times. They're we're going broke. I mean, that's good that they're making efforts to make sure you all are safe. Are you two buddies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute. So okay, cool. Yeah. So I was just gonna ask you something else. I do know. Have there been ramblings about this dude that Trump was going to put on his cabinet in there about like how because he like that's what caused all this stir recently is that he's like yeah women in the military is ridiculous. It's never been helpful. Blah blah blah. I want to get rid of them when I get into my department office. Is anybody talking about that? Because Haley, when I brought that up to you, you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think many people I mean, no one's come up and talked to me,
Okay.
like, when I go to drill and stuff, and I think we're just too preoccupied right now.
Okay.
Um,
I think he got in trouble actually for sexual harassment. I don't think he's going to make the position, so it should be okay. Now, even if he did, or somebody like him did, I don't even think it's possible at this point. Like, you know how much you would have to go through legalities you would have to go through to dismiss an entire like half of human sexual sex to out of the army. That's out of the military. That'd be ridiculous. That would be massive. They would get this crap suit out of them, like by everybody, ACLU and NAACP. I mean, everybody would sue. So okay. So you don't feel threatened by that at all. You don't feel like okay, this might actually happen.
no, I feel like I feel like it won't happen.
Yeah, his people make a lot of really stupid comments and like unrealistic. Like he wants to take over Greenland. Like, yeah, okay, that's just dumb. Why would you say that? But anyway, well, that's cool. And as far as like, okay, so the ambitions of like, do you think there's any sort of like kind of like statistical different amount of people, the difference in amount of people, male or female, as far as like ambitions towards different positions within the military? Do you see more? I don't know. I'm trying to like not be a jerk. Like I don't know, women becoming cooks. I don't know, and like like men becoming like infantry or anything like that. Is there any sort of like what do you see in society? Do you see that in the military? That kind of thing.
I think there already are a lot more men in the military than women.
Oh,
So
sure. Oh, that's true. That's true.
statistically, my brother is in the infantry, and he went to basic training with all men, and all of his units are all men, and they only have like occasional women. And I don't know if that's just because statistically there's more men,
Right.
but a lot more men do the infantry than women because it's just not a fun job to have in the military, especially in the National Guard because you don't really do much. So,
Sure, that makes sense.
but for MPs, our unit has like the whole 33rd Battalion of Illinois has more women than like any unit that I've seen. Like we're like stacked. Like it's like 50-50 probably for men and women
Wow.
for our unit. Yeah. Everywhere we go, everyone's surprised that we have so many females in our like battalion. They're like, "Wow, I didn't realize you guys had so many females because other battalions they don't have as much." But I think being military police is like it's a very like 50-50 split wise for gender that are like joined the MP Corps.
That's great to hear. Yeah, they should be talking more about that. I think like our governor should be mentioning that. Just I mean, Illinois, because of our governor, Illinois has become a very liberal blue state. And so that's something I think he should emphasize. That's very cool. That's interesting. So before I wanted to ask you this, and I forgot. Are you allowed to date in the middle while you're in there? Like whether it be basic training or other outside of basic training, are you allowed to date each other? Like going back to what counts as sexual harassment? Can a guy ask you on a date, or is that still no good?
So, you are allowed to date, not while you're in basic training. Like basic training, it's like, no, don't do anything, just get out of
Nothing.
training, finish training.
And that's what,
Outside of
8 weeks?
training,
8 weeks?
uh, no, it's like what, 10 weeks, and then plus your job training. So mine was 20 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It also
But-
depends. It differs for every single job. You could be there for like
Yeah.
30 weeks for some, depending on your job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
you're not
going
allowed to
back
date.
to the-
Right.
You're not allowed to date in basic training. That's just like a no-go, just like don't do it. Outside of basic training, you're only allowed to date within your ranks. So there's junior enlisted, which is E4 and below, and then there's NCOs, which is non-commissioned officer, and that's E5 and up. And you're only allowed to date within those specific ranks, and you're also, so there's officers, and enlisted people are not allowed to date officers, and that's like how it goes. So unless you have a previous relationship outside of the military that you have to like sign waivers for and whatever, that's like the only way that you can date within ranks, between ranks, officer and enlisted. That's the only way, is if you have a previous relationship.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. That's just really to avoid any sort of like power corruption,
Yeah.
right? Like so the officer obviously has more power than the lower ranked, if you
Yeah.
will. And so like, if they start dating, like all of a sudden he's giving her favors and all sorts of stuff he shouldn't be doing. So okay, it's not because you're too lowly on the scale to date these higher grade people.
Yeah.
It's not condescension or snobbery. It's just to protect actually probably the lower ranks from the possible corruptions of people with more power. Okay, which is good. It still strikes me as odd for to control somebody's dating behaviors. Like I get it, but like it's just weird to me to think that somebody gets to tell you that whether or not you can date and who you can and cannot date. Like that's just weird to me. I don't know. It's just weird. But I get it. Okay, cool. So and if you're dating if you go into like my nephew just joined the military about a year ago and he had a girlfriend going in. I didn't ask him this, so let me ask you, like, if you are dating somebody like even say outside of the military, do you get like visitation rights or anything like that, or is it like during basic training, or is it all 100% complete shutdown for you?
Shut down.
Yeah,
Shut down. No,
You get phone calls, and that's like it. You don't get to see your family unless so for basic training and AIT, which is advanced individual training, that's your job training. But you get like a family day in between those if you're not doing one station unit training. If it's not like all combined, then you get a family day in between where your family can come and be like, yay, you finished basic and you're gonna move on to the next chapter. But if you don't have that, which I did not have that, then you don't get to see your family for 20 weeks and you just get phone calls.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, but outside of basic training, the rules were like lax a lot. You're freer to do things. You can kind of come and go. It's more like a job. It's like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of thing. Yes.
Yes.
Unless you get deployed somewhere, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Have either of you been deployed out of the country?
Yes.
Oh, you both have.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
Hailey,
went
you didn't
to
tell me.
we went to Cuba together.
Oh, wait, maybe you did tell me you went to Cuba. Hailey, tell me about the Cuba experience.
Um,
Was it Guantanamo?
yeah. I'm
Good,
trying
you
to think
can't talk about
about
it?
what exactly I could say because we did sign an NDA.
Oh, no. I don't want to get you in trouble. I didn't know. That's why we don't talk
But
about
yeah,
it.
we did get deployed to.
Did you meet any communists? Just kidding. Those damn communists, I tell you. Always helping each other out. How dare they? Anyway, so okay, well I mean Cuba is supposed to be a pretty cool place to actually visit. And okay, and also you two Kennedy, are you going to the inauguration as well as Hailey?
Yes, I am.
The whole, I don't know the different names for the Hailey. You explained this to me recently, and I don't remember. Like the difference between like a battalion and a platoon and a unit and a team. Like I don't know
Oh
all that.
yeah,
So
like the breakdown of it
the
all.
breakdown of like the
Yeah.
quantity of people. Like so, like what is it called? Who's going to the inauguration? Your unit, your platoon? Who is it?
Our unit.
I actually don't even know how many people are going.
Yeah, it's like 100+ people, but it's our unit and a couple people from our like battalion. So like a team or two of like extra people that are like our ops or our AQ. So like they do like make sure that we're all doing the same thing and they make sure we have all the paperwork done, and that's like those people, and then it's like our unit.
Okay, and is it people soldiers from across the country, or is it specifically just you guys?
I think it's just us and then a reserve unit from somewhere on the east coast over there. I don't know
How is
which
it?
state, but
Yeah, but
What are
that's
the?
only for like our job. Like I don't even know if they're enlisting like any other companies or battalions to do a different job than us, or I don't know if there's gonna be more or not. We just know what we're doing.
So what are the chances that I actually know somebody that's in the military that's going to the inauguration out of like all the possible soldiers in the country? That's crazy to me. Like that's wild that I know you, Hailey. That and you're like you and your unit's going to the inauguration like almost nobody else in the country is. That's weird. Okay. All right. Well, are you looking forward to that?
Yeah. I've never been to an inauguration, never been to any presidential kind of thing. I've never been to DC, so I'll get to
Kennedy, are you looking forward to it?
yeah, I am. I know it's like snowing there though, so I know it's gonna be so cold.
I think
it's
it's
gonna be
probably the same.
cold.
It's probably the same as it is here. So yeah, well, not that it's. I mean, it's cold and snowy here too, but yeah, I think we're kind of parallel to it. But that's interesting. And your jobs there are to, like you were saying, kind of like control traffic, walk the streets, make sure everybody's safe and everything's going correctly, correct?
All I know is we're doing like security type stuff. That's it. I can't really go into detail about it, but
Oh, okay, that's right. Oh, well, this is kind
they
of
haven't
fun.
even told us like everything that we're doing either. So
Yeah.
Okay, and as a sergeant, are you Hailey's boss?
Not like directly because like we're friends, so she's not in my team. I'm a team leader and she's not in my team because we're
Okay.
friends, so not
Do they?
directly, but yeah.
Do they? But by ranking you are, but not by like contacts or immediate contacts.
Yes.
Is that this is a different side of the same sort of idea, but like is that difficult? Would you find that difficult, Hailey, taking an order from Kennedy because she's your friend? Like I'll give you my own. I worked at a restaurant, and the owner and I became like best friends. And eventually, like I had to quit because I couldn't. I'm like, I'm not taking orders from you. You're my friend. It's ridiculous. I mean, there are other reasons too. I just got tired of bartending, working in restaurants. But like, I can't. Like, he's asked me to come back. I'm like, dude, I can't. I can't. You bark an order at me, it's gonna piss me off. Nothing else. I mean, do you find what do you think about that in your situation?
well, like she
I
said,
remember you say you would have to. You would. Go ahead.
she's not like my team leader, so she's not directly in charge of me. And they did do that on purpose. So there's
So they do.
nothing
They
that
keep that in
happened.
mind too. Well, they really go out of their way to like really control your social dynamics, don't they?
Yeah,
So,
sometimes like if people are friends and they get promoted to sergeants, they'll even like move them to a completely different platoon just so like
oh,
nothing, no
no
arguments.
favoritism or vice
Yeah,
versa. Yeah.
but
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't had a problem, especially she just got promoted like what was it, a week ago?
Yeah. Like
But
a week
I
ago.
really don't think there'll be issues. We get along really well, so
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I kind of make her do stuff already, and she she doesn't
she
complain.
mainly just like asked me to do stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Because
She doesn't order me.
she's asking, she's not ordering.
Yeah,
I
That's
usually I
different.
don't
Yeah.
say no, so
Yeah, that's tough because I mean, friends are supposed to be like they're equals in a sense. Like one doesn't have like authority over another one. Like in within the friendship, that would be a weird situation. But okay, that's interesting. And do you strive to get promoted, or do they just come up to you and say, "Hey, Kennedy Lucas, you're promoted to sergeant because you're doing so well," or did you set out
no,
like, "Hey, go ahead"?
no, I really tried. It's like I
Wait,
want to
I mean,
be a
you
sergeant, please.
do you have to tell somebody, "Hey, my ambition is to go up in the ranks. I want to do this," so that they're
Yeah,
watching you? Like,
yeah.
you want to draw their
So
attention to it?
yeah, so while we were in Cuba, I had a great team leader, and he wrote a really good like packet for me to become an NCO, and then that plus he helped me get more points for like because to be promoted you need like a certain amount of points or whatever, and he helped me like enter like my school and stuff that I could use for points, and that really helped me like get pushed up on the list of promotions. So
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Haley, do you have any higher rank ambitions, or are you kind of happy with where you're at?
no, I definitely want to be a sergeant someday. I'm guessing it's probably not going to be for like another year. Maybe, hopefully next year. That would be cool because she did join like a year before me
Oh,
or
okay.
something. So
So you
I'm
met
just
each
getting
other.
like
You met each other through
information.
the National Guard.
Yeah, I'm just getting
no,
like information that I'm
no.
on my way. Sorry, I talked to my.
Wait, no, wait, there's,
Um,
hold on. She's saying no. She's saying you're wrong.
Yeah, we
How
didn't
did you
meet each
guys?
other in the military.
no, you've been
You said
in
yes.
longer than
Oh,
me,
yes, I've
is
been
what
in
I'm
longer,
saying.
but he said did we meet each other in the military? And I said no.
Oh
And you said
no,
yes.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay, okay.
No.
You, you knew each other
Um,
before you both joined, so you knew each other for over a year, or
yeah, we've
you
known
knew
each
each other
other
before you
since we
joined.
were like 10
Oh,
Yeah.
ish.
oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, that makes it even harder to take orders from her, wouldn't it? Like like your childhood friends. Yeah, my best friend from childhood barked an order at me. I'd be like, okay, that's just stupid. But that's funny. So, but then again, that's interesting that they, and I guess they kind of have to, but that they spend so much time and attention and effort, commandeering people's social relationships. Like that. Yeah, okay, that's very interesting. And do you either or both of you have any ambitions to become an officer one day, or do you want to like
No.
finish?
Yeah.
That's like another 15 years in the army. So you want to
Um
finish your time, get out, go to school. That's the goal, right? For both of you, and you
um
want to be a paramedic, Haley, and you want to be a psychologist. Go ahead, sorry.
for the most part, I don't know if I want to stay in because it varies based on how I feel that day. Sometimes
Yeah.
like the army is so fun and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do this for the rest of my life." And then sometimes it's just like, "Wow, I need to get out today." So it
Ah,
varies, but as of right now, I plan on doing at least another like 4 years.
hmm.
So that's like 10 years already right
Wow,
there.
wow, that's a good chunk of life there. 10 years. Okay. I can't. I think my head would explode if I try to plan for 10 years in my future or 4 years. I mean, because like every day is so different to me. Haley, what about you?
Um, I used to be like, absolutely no, I'm not re-enlisting. I'm not re-upping. Um, I used to just be like, I'm finishing my contract, which is 6 years, and then I'm done. Um, but some things in my life have changed, and now I'm like on the fence of maybe I will, maybe I won't stay in. And then if I do stay in, I don't know if I'll change my job or not. So I'm kind of on the fence
Interesting.
to
Yeah.
continuing.
Well, I mean, there's something very cool about being a career soldier, uh, because you can. I mean, you can retire, full retirement after like 20 years of service. Is that right?
Hmm?
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, that's awesome. Like, so you're what, 22, Haley?
Yeah.
How long have you been in?
Uh, little over 3 years, about to hit.
Okay, so 17 more.
4.
You'd be 39 years old and you could retire. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to convince you either way, but I mean, that's just like I've thought about that because I mean, I could be at my age right now. I'd be retired. I'd be chilling. You know, I mean, it would just be so cool. I mean, I'd have to go through 20 years of crap, but I mean, you know, okay. What job isn't, you know, who actually likes their job? But yeah, but I can see day to day it's different. You have different, you know, some days are good, some days are bad. Some days you love being you having your job. Sometimes you just want to walk out and, you know, tell everybody how awful it is. But so yeah, I guess you have time before you even have to make that decision, right? And so when you get to the end of your time served, if you will, like it's a prison sentence, do you just go up to them and say yes or no? Do they call you into an office and say, so what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in? Do you want to leave? Do they try to re-recruit you? How does that process go?
Well, actually, they do a lot because retention in the military is really low, and it's been really low. And so, about like 3 to 6 months before your end of your contract, they take you out of drill and they like bus you to like a place and they have food and drinks and they give you PowerPoints and they try and like convince you to stay. And then that day you either sign or you don't sign for the next however many years you want to sign or don't want to sign for. But now they're trying to do a new thing. What's his name? Our command sergeant major of our battalion, he's starting a new thing where in the middle of our contract, he's gonna try to make us like have the same kind of event where they like take you and then they're like, hey, you gonna stay in, please? And then they're gonna do that in the middle of your contract and towards the end so that they can kind of like see where people are leaning towards if they're gonna be able to keep people in or not.
Yeah, they probably have to have like certain like, you know, they have to have predictive value in their assessments of like how many people are likely to stay, how many people are likely to leave, that kind of thing. So because there's budgeting and all sorts of things, they have to like give to Congress and say, we think this many people are going to stay, we need this much money to blah, blah, blah. That's really interesting. How they try to schmooze you like that, like, you know, give you like nice food and drink and everything else. Like, oh, we love you. You know, we yesterday I was screaming in your face to like give me 20, and today I'm going to give you like, you know, caviar and escargot, so that you can stay, and lobster and steak. So, oh, sounds very manipulative, but okay, that's fine. They got to do it somehow. What about financial? Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, it's not as like manipulative as you think because like on a day-to-day basis in at drill, like we are all just people and so we have our ranks, yes, and we do need to respect like people that are high ranks and all that stuff. But also like once you're in a unit, you get to know everybody and so it's kind of like you're like second family. So it's like you don't need to try to respect them because you already do because you respect them as a person. And so and like the people that run these events, like their whole job is retention. So like they're trying to think of like the best way for us to want to stay in. And obviously like they're thinking of other ways other than just like events and like stuff like that, like where they're kind of trying to like convince us. They're trying to we do like annual surveys and their job is to like pull things from that surveys that they can actually try and change for us so that we want to stay in like every day and not like one day we want to stay in and the next day we want to leave kind of thing. So it's a lot less like manipulative as like it seems like because it's like we're just talking in this moment. It's a lot nicer than it sounds right now.
No. I get you. That's cool. That's fair. Okay, real quick. This will be the last thing we're getting. Like 45 minutes. That's pretty cool. What about the barracks? I mean, do you sleep in all female barracks and men in there? There's no combination of those there, right? And showering and bathrooms. That's all separate, right?
Yeah.
That'd be awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any like Hailey, I think you mentioned that you actually have a soldier who identifies as trans, and how is that going for them? Any problems there for that person that you know of?
The only problem that I've heard from them is that they weren't allowed to go on a deployment with us.
Oh,
To the
that was because
inauguration?
they had just started taking testosterone, and they were not allowed to. You're not allowed to go on a deployment if you haven't been taking a specific medication for longer than like 30 to 90 days, so that they can make sure that you're okay on it and like you're not gonna like die while you're over there. So that was for safety reasons for like that person, but that and I think the only problem is like it takes a really long time for paperwork to go through. So this person still has to be in like the female bay when they're not female. So that's like the only problem for them, that paperwork takes a long time in the military and it hasn't like finished. It's not done yet. And by the time they're probably going to get out before the paperwork is even like fully done, because it's so much to do and like change in the military that it probably is not going to happen, because they're going to get out in like a couple months. So I don't know. Yeah.
But,
So they,
yeah.
go ahead.
But outside of that, I haven't really seen or heard of any issues. Like everyone, at least around us or in their unit, is very accepting of them and very respectful towards them. So I haven't seen any issues.
Well, again, if you can do your job, I don't see what the problem is. Right? I mean, it's still like a meritocracy. If you can do it, then you can be whoever you want. What does it matter? That's really interesting. Okay. And LGBT. Oh, T is trans. LGB. Any issues there? Anybody in there that's like lesbian or gay that's getting any pushback or may no? All good.
No.
That's great. I mean, it's just not the military. What I remember of hearing about the military when I was growing up. I mean, it was a very different situation. From what I heard, I was never in it, but my adopted father was in Vietnam, and he was all very not open-minded. Let's just say that. I kid him. He'd probably freak out if he was alive today, hearing about all this stuff, which is fine by me because he was a weirdo. But that's very cool. All right, well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your experiences here. This is just a local podcast. I try to get some interesting stuff going, getting that interesting stuff out to the public here in Lake County. Technically, you guys are from McHenry County, but that's okay. We won't tell you anything. But again, thank you so much for coming on. Specialist Hailey Brown, and recently promoted to Sergeant Kennedi Lucas. Thank you so much for coming on Let's Talk Lake County. And I will be in touch in the future. Hailey, I'll see you on Monday, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Till next time. Bye.
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 Hold on. There's